Some of us, at least on the 80-20 guys, we see an apartment building, we think that's commercial. Some of you commercial guys might still call that residential. Because, but asphalt shingles, large apartment buildings, schools, townhome associations, retail, you name it. When you look at all these are all different sales pitches and different ways you would approach these type of people and decision makers. And so if you're not in commercial, one thing is, if you're not in commercial, son, you should look at possibly, and you're trying to grow, is start sticking your toe in the market. You don't suddenly become at least in my years, you don't suddenly just become a commercial company, but you start focusing on maybe what you're good at. So if you're good at doing asphalt shingles, maybe focus on commercial that has large asphalt shingles, like apartment complexes, churches, and stuff like that. And that's a lot what we did. If you eventually get good at flat roofs, that becomes your focus. But you can't be a Swiss Army knife unless you're MaxCon. MaxCon software can make chocolate chip cookies. But you got to figure out what you're good at, and it takes months to land a commercial job. I'm working on that Chicago JV I did last year. I'm working on a swarmy temple. It's the largest temple in the state of Illinois. They got massive hail damage on the gope rooms, and it's a $800,000 claim. It started at $400,000, and it's going up. That was something we started last June or July, and the chairman of the board, who I just happened to do his residential cedar shake roof in Barrington, which was a $185,000 Chubb cedar shake roof, just became the chairman of the board last month. And then he finally signed the contract because he's the chairman, because none of those guys could ever agree on who they wanted to choose, even though I already helped them get their first $400,000 approved. So commercial can take 6 to 9 months, right, to close. You could starve during that time, right? Tigers got to eat. So you got to stick with what you know, keep doing your residential and dabble in commercial. That's what I've always done. Decision makers are different on, the other thing is you're planning a commercial strategy. And again, this is not for you commercial guys, but you 80-20 guys are the guys that are starting to dabble and starting to train a sales guy on how to approach a commercial. You want to think about the ones that got low-hanging fruit. So the decision makers that you can actually walk in and talk to and sign, well, those are different than corporate chains, right? And your Office Depots and your Walmarts. That's a pretty long selling cycle, and there's probably a lot of red tape to go through. Same with a lot of big apartment buildings run by large property management companies. These are long sales processes. Here's the ones that aren't. Townhome associations. Okay, when I was a sales guy back in 2000 and as an owner, if you focus on townhome associations, most associations insure the outside of the exterior property. You guys with? Okay? And the association at the townhome is made up of a board of people that live in the association. So the president of the association actually lives in one of those units. So one of our strategies, training sales guys, including myself, these are the kind of jobs I like to get. I just roll into the townhome association after a storm. First person I see out in the driveway, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Just checking out some of the units here. Can you tell me where the president of the association lives? Oh yeah, he lives down in 44B. I go knock on his door, introduce myself and give him the pitch just like I would a regular homeowner. Now, if you can get him in your camp and he lives in the unit, so he cares about the roof, right? The guy who lives in Texas that owns the apartment complex that has 3 other owners as part of a corporate REIT probably doesn't care as much about that roof and getting it done as the president of the association, right? Because he lives in one of the units. So he's an easy sell. And if you get him in your camp, you can most likely get that contingency agreement signed. Maybe not right there. It might still need to go to the board, but they all live in there. So if you get him, from a strategy of low-hanging fruit, townhome associations are great cold calls and places to go after, and there's usually a lot of them in major communities. Churches and temples. Where's the Atlanta guys here? Atlanta, Georgia? We focused, 2008 when that storm hit, we went after all the churches and temples, including the ones in the hood down there in MLK. Hey, there's great commercial jobs in the hood. Don't be afraid to sell in the hood. You're just not going to sell residential.